The film begins with Peter Parker as a young child at his parents' home. While Peter is deeply absorbed in playing, he enters his father's office. His dad is a biologist. Peter discovers the office window shattered, and the room is in complete disarray. The father comes in to investigate and realizes that someone tried to steal his research from the office, but he had hidden it in a secret compartment in the desk drawer. Then the father starts erasing all the notes he had written on the board, revealing that he's been conducting secret studies on spiders. After that, he takes Peter and his mother, and they leave the house. Peter is then moved to live with his uncle and aunt to keep him safe from harm. He leaves his secret research bag with Peter's uncle, his brother, to hide it safely with him. He says goodbye to Peter, promising he'll come back to take him soon. Peter's mother also bids him farewell before they both leave. That was the last time Peter saw his father and mother, as they later die in a mysterious accident. As the days go by, Peter grows up and enters university, but he is very shy and doesn't escape the bullying from a boy named Flash, who is the school's troublemaker. Peter becomes known as a skilled photographer, which is why his photos are featured in the university newspaper. He admires his classmate Gwen, but is always too shy to tell her. Peter sees a crowd of students gathered because Flash is bullying a weak student, pushing his head into a plate of food while all the other students stand around laughing. Flash tells Peter to take a photo of him hitting the student, but Peter refuses and demands that he let the student go immediately. Flash gets angry with Peter, hits him, and knocks him to the ground. He keeps hitting Peter until Gwen appears and asks him to stop, since Flash also likes her, and he immediately listens to her. Peter gathers his things and his broken camera, then heads to his lecture. Gwen greets him, praising his bravery for standing up to Flash, and Peter feels very happy about her attention. Peter returns home, and his aunt sees him and asks who did this to him. Peter tells her that he fell off his skateboard. At that moment, Peter's uncle arrives, sees Peter's face, and asks him to help move some things to the storage. While there, he tells Peter that he knows someone punched him and that he didn't actually fall as he said. After his uncle leaves the storage room, Peter notices his father's research bag that he had left with his uncle long ago. Peter takes the bag and goes to his uncle feeling upset because it reminds him of his father, and he knows that his uncle and his wife are trying to close the matter of the bag. Peter finds a photo of his father with his scientist friend inside the bag and asks his uncle, "Who is this man?" Peter then enters the room and carefully searches through the bag, hoping to find something that reveals the secrets of his father's research. He indeed discovers that his father had reached an important equation for hybridizing spider genes with humans, an impressive breakthrough to enhance human healing abilities. At that moment, Peter's uncle knocks on the door, so Peter quickly hides the research. His uncle enters and tries to comfort Peter after he remembered his father's death. He tells him that the scientist in the photo with his father is named Curt Connors, and that they haven't known anything about him since Peter's father passed away. Afterwards, Peter starts searching for this scientist and finds out that he worked with his father on gene hybridization research. He also learns that Curt Connors is now working at Dr. Osborn's scientific research company. Peter goes to Oscorp and tells the receptionist that he wants to meet Dr. Curtin. The receptionist mistakes him for someone else who is supposed to come for an internship at the company, so she gives Peter an ID badge belonging to that person, named Rodrigo. Peter takes the ID card and enters the building. By chance, he runs into a group from his university visiting the company, supervised by Gwen, his classmate. Seeing her, Peter quickly hides to avoid being noticed. At the same time, security escorts the real Rodrigo out of the building because he doesn't have the visitor badge that Peter took. Dr. Curt then meets with the students, with Peter hidden among them. The students notice that Curt's right arm is missing. He tells them that he has dedicated his life to developing research that enables hybridizing human genes with those of other creatures possessing healing abilities, allowing lost human limbs to be replaced through this method. Dr. Curt asks if anyone can guess how this is possible, but none of the students know the answer, except Peter, who responds based on his father's research that he read earlier. Dr. Curt is very impressed with Peter, then excuses himself from the students and leaves. Of course, Gwen has seen Peter and knows he took Rodrigo's visitor badge after Rodrigo was dismissed. She tells him that he should stay with the group, then walks away. Peter then bumps into Dr. Osborn's assistant, causing the files to fall to the ground. By chance, he notices the same symbols on the documents that his father had used in his research. Curious, he follows the man and finds him opening a door marked with those same symbols. Two researchers exit the room and walk alongside him. Peter remembers the pattern the man used to open the door. Using Rodrigo's card, he replicates the motion, unlocks the door, and enters the lab. Peter sees the lab filled with advanced equipment and enters a second room. There, he finds a strange-looking device filled with spiders being used for experiments. Curious, Peter touches one of the spider webs, and the device immediately activates, spinning in reverse. Suddenly, the spiders fall onto him. Dr. Osborne's assistant then enters to see Dr. Curt urgently, telling him he needs to reach a breakthrough in his research quickly so they can save Dr. Osborne, who is very sick and dying. Gwen spots Peter and takes the card he had taken, intending to return it to the real Rodrigo. After she walks away, a spider bites Peter on the neck, one of the spiders that fell on him in the lab. Peter then takes the subway to head home, feeling extremely tired. A man nearby intrudes on him and places a bottle of drink on Peter's head while he's asleep. Suddenly, a drop of liquid falls on Peter, and he wakes up, now hanging upside down from the subway ceiling. The other passengers are stunned. Peter apologizes to a young woman for spilling the drink on her, but his hand sticks to her shirt because of the webs coming from it. The passengers think Peter is bothering the girl and try to hit him. Instinctively, Peter defends himself, knocking them down one by one until they all fall to the ground. He then realizes that his strength has increased after the spider bite. Afterwards, Peter returns to his uncle's house, where his aunt scolds him for being late because they were worried about him. He opens the fridge and starts eating ravenously, even food he usually doesn't like. Then he goes up to his room feeling very tired. There, he notices spider webs coming out from his neck, where he was bitten, so he cuts them off. The spider that bit him, meanwhile, has died. The next day, Peter wakes up and notices his strength has increased so much that he breaks the faucet just by turning it on. His senses are heightened, and he can perceive every detail happening around him. He realizes the spider bite is the reason for these changes. He begins researching the effects of spider bites on humans, and suddenly all the keyboard keys stick to his hand. Peter then continues studying his father's research to understand it, even studying on his uncle's rooftop. After he grasps the equation well, he visits Dr. Curt at his home and introduces himself as Richard Parker's son. Dr. Curt welcomes him inside and tells him that his research with his father could have changed the world, and that it might have been possible to restore the arm his father lost. Dr. Curt notices how quick Peter's reflexes are when he catches his mug before it falls to the ground. Peter then tells him he has found the solution and shows him the equation his father had discovered before he died. Impressed, Dr. Curt asks Peter to visit him at the lab to continue the research together. At the university basketball court, Peter sees Flash bothering a girl and throwing her paint bucket with the ball, ruining her painting. In a strange way, Peter catches the ball before it hits the girl. Flash tells Peter to return the ball quickly, but Peter prefers to keep holding it and challenges him to take it himself if he can. Flash tries to snatch the ball from Peter but can't, even though Peter is holding it with just one hand. Peter then mocks him in front of everyone. Finally, Peter runs with the ball, trips Flash, sending him flying through the air, and scores by breaking the basket in front of all the students. The university director requests a meeting with Peter's uncle because of what happened. Later, Peter's uncle scolds him and tells him he changed his work schedule to attend the meeting. He also says that Peter should come home early today to keep an eye on his aunt. After his uncle leaves, Gwen is standing there waiting for Peter. Although Peter doesn't know how to tell her he likes her, they both agree to go out together. Peter is very happy afterward. Peter grabs his skateboard and runs with it, noticing that his fitness has greatly improved and that performing tricks has become very easy for him. He then starts climbing walls effortlessly. Peter then goes to Dr. Curt's lab, where he finds the doctor working on the results Peter had given him. Peter notices a device for hybridizing different species. Dr. Curt explains that he is currently experimenting with hybridizing genes from a lizard with a lab mouse whose arm is amputated because lizards have the ability to regenerate lost limbs. He says that if the experiment succeeds, it might help restore his lost arm. Peter gets deeply involved in the research, ignoring his uncle's call, asking him to come home early. After several experiments, they succeed in regrowing the mouse's hand. Dr. Curt thanks Peter for his help. When Peter returns home, his uncle is very upset because Peter broke his promise. Peter feels hurt and leaves the house, and the door accidentally gets damaged behind him. His uncle goes after him to bring him back, but Peter is already far and enters a market to buy a drink. He doesn't have enough money. He's short by just 2 cents. The shopkeeper refuses to give him the drink, even though the amount missing is very small. Before Peter leaves the store, feeling upset, a thief steals money from the cashier and gives Peter the bottle of juice that the shopkeeper had refused to give him. The thief runs out of the store and the shopkeeper chases after him, asking Peter for help, but Peter tells him it's not his business. The thief keeps running, knocking people down in his path until he accidentally collides with Peter's uncle. The thief drops the gun he was holding, and Peter's uncle tries to stop him from picking it up, but the thief shoots him, and the uncle falls to the ground. Peter hears the gunshots and rushes to the scene, discovering that it is his uncle lying on the ground. He tries to save him by any means, but his uncle dies. Peter and his uncle's wife then go through a very difficult period of grief. Police detectives are at their house, and Peter sees the description of the killer and remembers that he saw a star tattoo on the man's hand. Peter falls into a depression because he feels responsible for his uncle's death, believing it happened because he let the thief escape. Flash tries to comfort Peter afterward, but at first, Peter thinks he's coming to bully him as usual. However, he calms down and lets him when he realizes Flash is actually trying to console him. Then Peter meets Gwen, who also offers him comfort. Peter returns to his uncle's house and decides to take revenge on the thief who killed him. He starts going out at night, searching the city streets for thieves and criminals who might lead him to his uncle's killer. One night, he sees a thief trying to rob a woman. Peter confronts and hits him after the thief threatens him with a gun. However, Peter soon finds out the thief's friends were hiding nearby and attack him. Peter fights them off one by one and manages to escape by climbing a building up to the rooftop. The thieves follow him. On the rooftop, Peter faces the thief again and fights him. Just before the thief falls off the roof, Peter grabs him and looks for the star tattoo on his hand, but realizes this is not the man who killed his uncle. Peter then helps him hold on to the railing and lets him go. He then backs up onto the rooftop until he falls through a hole that leads him down to an old abandoned wrestling arena inside the building. There, he sees a picture of a masked wrestler and is intrigued by the mask's design. He decides to create a similar mask for himself. After that, he works on designing a full suit to conceal his identity. He develops chemical threads that resemble spider silk, extremely strong, almost like iron threads, and invents a device similar to a watch to generate these threads. At the same time, he continues searching for the thief who killed his uncle through the city streets at night. He then tests the new threads and confirms that they are very strong. He invents a device that allows him to eavesdrop on the police radio to find out if the police are chasing any criminals. After that, he becomes able to beat the police to the criminals and capture them first. Every criminal he catches is checked for the star tattoo on their hand, as he tries to find the one who killed his uncle. He soon becomes famous as a hero, with people taking pictures of him catching criminals. Police Chief Captain George hears about the new hero but is convinced he's interfering with their work and wants to arrest him. Meanwhile, Peter finishes designing his full suit, drawing inspiration from tight-fitting skating outfits to reduce wind resistance while moving. Peter later spots another thief trying to break into a car, but Peter is already waiting inside the car, and he hits the thief, stopping the theft. He ties the thief to the wall with his special threads until the police arrive. However, Peter is surprised when the police officer tries to arrest him under orders from Police Chief Captain George. Peter sees the rest of the police arriving, so he escapes the scene. He starts moving easily across the cars on the road, evading the police chase until he gets away on the bridge. He feels very happy and proud of the power he has gained. The police chief scolds the officers, saying how 38 policemen couldn't catch Spider-Man. Later, he goes back home, where his aunt's wife sees the bruises on his face and becomes very worried, fearing he might be getting involved in something dangerous or wrong. At Oscorp, Dr. Curt tells the director that the experiment succeeded on a lab mouse, and he was able to regrow its arm. However, it's still too early to conduct these experiments on humans, but the director threatens him that if he doesn't start the human trials immediately, he'll be fired from the company. So Dr. Curt is forced to try the serum on himself. Later, Gwen invites Peter to dinner with her family. Peter brings her flowers and climbs into her room through the window. He's surprised to find out that Gwen's father is none other than George, the police chief who wants to arrest him. Though, of course, he doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man. George greets Peter warmly and welcomes him. At the same time, Dr. Curt wakes up in his office and is surprised to see that his arm has fully regrown. He tries to call Dr. Osborn, the company owner, to report the success of the experiment, but his assistant informs him that Dr. Osborn has been transferred from the hospital. Dr. Curt quickly takes a taxi to meet Dr. Osborn, but strange symptoms start to appear on him. He begins to transform, showing signs that he's turning into a lizard-like creature. At Gwen's house, Peter is having dinner with her family. He doesn't like George's talk about Spider-Man and his desire to catch him. Peter tells George that Spider-Man is a hero doing what the police can't. Gwen tries to calm things down by taking Peter up to the rooftop away from her father, and then apologizes to Peter for her dad's words. At that moment, Peter confesses to Gwen that he himself is Spider-Man, the very person her father is looking for. Gwen is, of course, shocked by the revelation. Peter hears the police mobilizing because something strange is happening on the bridge. He quickly rushes there. George also leaves the house and goes with the police to the bridge. The company director is there in his car, confused about what is happening. Meanwhile, Dr. Curt, now fully transformed into a giant lizard-like creature, is smashing cars until he reaches the director's car. He starts braking it, lifts the car, and throws it off the bridge. Spider-Man arrives just in time and fights Dr. Curt. He uses his webs to grab the company director's car, catching it before it falls into the river. Spider-Man ties together all the cars that Curt threw off the bridge with his webs. Meanwhile, a father calls out to Peter for help, saying his son is trapped in one of the cars about to fall. Peter quickly runs down to the young boy, gives him his mask, and tells him he's a hero so the boy won't be scared, as the car is on fire. Peter then manages to rescue him at the last moment before the car falls into the river. He returns the boy safely to his father, who thanks him gratefully. Peter returns home, while Dr. Curt reverts to his human form inside the sewer tunnels. At a press conference, George says they didn't see anyone on the bridge except Spider-Man, and that he ordered to arrest him because he caused all the troubles. Peter feels very upset by George's words. When he meets Gwen, she tells him she could never believe such things about him. Peter tells her he will start hunting the strange creature that attacked people the day before, not knowing it's actually Dr. Curt. Peter later visits Dr. Curt's lab and notices an empty vial of the transformation serum, the very one Dr. Curt injected himself with. Peter then asks Dr. Curt about the best way to track reptiles. Dr. Curt finds the question strange, and Peter notices a change in the skin on Dr. Curt's neck, confirming with high certainty that Dr. Curt was the one who attacked people on the bridge the day before. After that, Dr. Curt leaves Peter and walks away. Peter then sees the lab mouse injected with the serum has become aggressive and ferocious. Afterwards, Peter leaves the lab and heads to the police station, where he meets George and tells him what he discovered about Dr. Curt, that he himself is the giant lizard who attacked people on the bridge. However, George dismisses Peter's story as nonsense, refuses to listen, and asks security to escort Peter out. When Peter goes down to the street, he sees a large number of rats entering the sewer grates to reach the tunnels. He suspects that Dr. Curt is inside the sewer tunnel, so he puts on his Spider-Man suit and descends into the tunnels. There, Dr. Curt is indeed continuing his experiments underground, recording the results on camera, and then injecting himself with a new dose of the serum he invented. Spider-Man spins a web network across the sewer tunnels and stands on it, waiting for Dr. Curt to appear. He connects his webs throughout the tunnels, and when one strand moves, he knows Dr. Curt is nearby. Suddenly, Spider-Man is surprised to see a large group of lizards moving along the threads toward a specific direction. He follows them to reach Dr. Curt. Suddenly, Dr. Curt attacks him in his lizard form, striking Spider-Man. Spider-Man, equipped with cameras attached to the walls, captures the attack with camera flashes illuminating the scene. Dr. Curt slashes at Peter with his claws, but Peter manages to break free and both fall into the sewer water. Peter continues to escape from Dr. Curt, but his web shooter malfunctions because of the water and stops working. Still, he manages to finally get away from Dr. Curt. Meanwhile, Dr. Curt grabs the camera and sees Peter Parker's name on it. Realizing that Peter is Spider-Man, Peter, injured, goes to Gwen's house. She quickly hides him when her father knocks on the door, unaware that Spider-Man is inside. Peter tells Gwen he feels responsible for what happened to Dr. Curt because he gave him her father's research, and now he must fix it by proving that Dr. Curt is the giant lizard himself. Peter takes Gwen on a Spider-Man-style tour around the city. Meanwhile, Dr. Curt is in the sewer tunnels, injecting himself with a new dose of the serum. His strength increases significantly, and he transforms back into the lizard once again, declaring that he must get rid of Peter Parker. Dr. Curt then goes to Peter's university through the sewer pipes, breaks into the bathroom, and appears in front of all the students. The students panic and run away, leaving Peter alone. Peter runs toward Dr. Curt, who attacks him and starts smashing the university walls while fighting Peter. Peter manages to reach his bag containing his Spider-Man suit. After putting it on, he attacks Dr. Curt, and they fight intensely. Spider-Man then cuts off the lizard's tail, but to his surprise, Dr. Curt quickly regenerates a new tail without any injuries. Dr. Curt starts fighting Spider-Man again and gains the upper hand. Suddenly, Gwen appears and distracts him, giving Spider-Man a chance to move Gwen away before Dr. Curt can attack her. Then, Spider-Man traps Dr. Curt in a web and suspends him from the ceiling to immobilize him. Gwen manages to escape through the window. They hear the sound of police sirens arriving at the university, and Dr. Curt, annoyed with Peter, attacks him again. By the way, this guy is the one who created Spider-Man and most of the Marvel characters. Dr. Curt destroys the university library, hits Peter, and then disappears. Peter starts searching for him and discovers that he's returned to the sewer tunnels through the bathroom. So, Peter follows him down into the sewers. Gwen calls him to check on him, and Peter tells her that she needs to get the antidote that will be injected into the lizard to help Dr. Curt return to his normal state. He also tells her that the antidote is located at Oscorp Corporation. Peter then arrives at Dr. Curt's lab in the tunnels and discovers that his plan is to turn all humans into lizards like him to gain their strength. He intends to spread the virus as a gas over the entire city's population, releasing it from the top of the Oscorp building, where Gwen is heading right now. At the same time, Dr. Curt arrives at the company headquarters, but the police are waiting for him and open fire. Dr. Curt gets injured and falls to the ground, dropping the virus bag. Suddenly, the wounds on his body heal, and he attacks the police, spraying the virus and creating a large cloud of green smoke. All the officers fall to the ground, and within seconds, they begin transforming into lizard-like creatures, just like Dr. Curt. George realizes that Dr. Curt has used a biological weapon and started spreading it in the city. Meanwhile, Peter asks Gwen to escape the company immediately because Dr. Curt is on his way to her. However, Gwen refuses to leave before she obtains the antidote for Dr. Curt's virus. Peter moves immediately to go save her, but he's surprised when the police, along with George, surround him and demand that he surrender. Peter tries to escape, but the police stun him with electricity, causing him to fall and faint. Just before George removes Spider-Man's mask to reveal his identity, Peter wakes up at the last moment, hits George, knocks him down, and then takes down all the police officers present. However, George threatens him with his weapon, sees Peter's face, and is shocked to discover that Peter Parker, his daughter's classmate at the university, is the Spider-Man he's been chasing. Peter begs George to let him go, explaining that Gwen is in danger because Dr. Curt is heading to the company right now. George lets Peter escape so he can save Gwen. Meanwhile, Dr. Curt arrives at Oscorp, breaks the window, and enters the building. Gwen sees him and quickly hides in the lab closet, but Dr. Curt finds her location. Instead of attacking her, he takes the device he needs from her to release the gas over the city, then leaves without harming her. Dr. Curt starts climbing the Oscorp building to reach the top and release the virus. Spider-Man is still on his way and hasn't arrived yet. Fortunately, the man whose son Peter saved on the bridge sees him on the news and decides to help him get to the Oscorp building, since he works as a construction supervisor in the city. The man orders the workers to position the cranes at a specific angle so Peter can climb them and reach the company building faster. Peter sees what's happening, quickly heals the injury on his leg, and starts swinging through the cranes using his webs. At the same time, the police make it easier for him to get through. Meanwhile, George catches up with Gwen, takes the antidote from her, and tells her he found out that Peter, her friend, is Spider-Man. Dr. Curt is on a tower above the building, preparing to release the gas. Spider-Man arrives, attacks him, and knocks him off the tower. However, Dr. Curt manages to overpower Spider-Man the second time, and a fierce fight ensues. Eventually, Dr. Curt grabs Spider-Man, cuffs him, removes his mask, mocks him for being lonely and having lost all his family, and then breaks the device Spider-Man uses to shoot his webs. At that moment, George appears and tells Dr. Curt that Peter isn't alone. He shoots at the nitrogen pipes, releasing gas that freezes Dr. Curt's limbs. Then, Captain George fires at him and starts breaking his limbs. After that, he hands Peter the antidote and tells him to quickly swap it with the virus bomb. George stays behind to face Dr. Curt and hold him off, but Dr. Curt attacks him, stabbing his claws into George's abdomen and severely injuring him. Then Dr. Curt rushes to stop Peter from disabling the bomb, but Peter arrives first and replaces the virus bomb with the antidote. The bomb explodes in the sky, creating a blue smoke cloud over the city. The healing agent falls onto Dr. Curt, who begins to revert to his human form and falls from the tower. The dust settles on the ground, and all the officers Dr. Curt had controlled return to their normal selves. The tower Peter is standing on starts to collapse, and Peter hangs onto the building's fence, about to fall. Then Dr. Curt appears, now back to his human form, grabs Peter's hand, and saves him. He tells Peter to go quickly and save Captain George. Peter goes to save Captain George, but George's injury is fatal. He tells Peter that he was wrong about him and that the city needs him. He returns Peter's mask so he can hide his identity, but asks him to promise to stay away from Gwen, to keep her safe. Shortly after, Captain George passes away. Peter returns home to his unsill's wife and tells her that everything is finally over. He watches Gwen from a distance at her father's funeral, keeping his promise to George by not approaching her. Later, Gwen visits Peter's house and scolds him for leaving her alone during such a difficult time. Peter explains he can't continue their relationship, but Gwen understands that her father asked Peter to stay away to protect her. She leaves, and sometime later, Peter meets her again at the university, where he also meets Flash, who's now his friend. Peter notices Flash wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt because he admires him. When they enter the lecture, Peter tells Gwen that he won't be able to keep the promise he made to her father because he can't stay away from her. From that point on, Spider-Man becomes the city's primary protector. And that wraps up our adventure with The Amazing Spider-Man, a story of heroism and responsibility that captures hearts and thrills minds. If you enjoyed this summary, make sure to subscribe to Cinema in a Nutshell and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us which movie you want us to summarize next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next cinematic journey.